Okay, we got cut off. My phone died. That's another reminder. Like, even if you had your phone to help you, that dies too. So you need humans to learn to queue for you so you can have them the rest of your life. The provision of high quality virtual CLTs due to the lack of qualified in-person CLTs is not a discriminatory practice. It is. You have more sign language interpreters than cued language transliterators. And you told me he had to go to another school in order to get them when he deserves them in his base school. The services follow him, not he follow the services. And in real life, I would be able to contract them out. I would have to pay for them, but since we are practicing equal opportunity and rights and equanimity for sounds of speech that he is supposed to hear, to learn and have an education, then do so. Now, two at minimum CLTs in person are needed for him. Oh, but he hardly looks at them. Who cares? That's none of your business. Oh, he's not listening to me. Okay, that happens in hearing world too. So it happens visually. But that's why he's failing. Not because I failed him, but because you failed him in providing services he needs to succeed and to thrive, not just survive. Augie, I'm going to have you read the rest, number 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And if there is something you don't understand, I will explain it to you and our viewers.
Okay.
I wish our viewers could come forward and learn to cue and get better so they can cue for Augie in person. He will need them the rest of his life.
The respondent maintains that in addition to attempting to employ an in-person CLT, It makes regular efforts to secure in-person CLTs when possible.
I need to hear that in a louder volume. So let me read it over. I didn't hear you completely.
Okay.
The respondent maintains that in addition to attempting to employ an in-person CLT, it makes regular efforts to secure in-person CLTs when possible. Why are they using the word secure? I'm more concerned with your security. Sure, I'm concerned about the in-person CLT's security, but what if, okay, so hearing people at all times, well, most times, should be aware of where to go if there was a fire or you needed to evacuate the building for some reason, right? So, do you know where your exits are in the school, wherever you go? Or would you just follow the crowd?
Oh, depends on the situations.
Sure.
A lot of situations.
Sure.
I'm with people I know. Not just classmates, but actual people I invested taking time with. B, different drill systems. C, depends on the location I am at. So, people, time, place.
What if you don't know the people?
That's a whole different story.
Yes. So a CLT gives you access to knowing what is going on. When feasible, the respondent has provided in-person CLTs through the agency with whom it contracts to provide CLTs.
What is that supposed to
mean? When possible, they use an interpreting service to find in-person CLTs for you. But they only, or because ASL is popular, they broadcast out your need for a CLT for a special event during a weekend or during a night, because most of the CLTs are gainfully employed in a neighboring county. They are not gainfully employed in this county. So during the day, they can't be in two places at once. So they try to get them through the agency, but the agency stirs confusion, and virtual CLTs take the job announcement first before in person get a chance to. So you're doomed to have virtual only, not in person. And they don't know that. They just say, oh, here's a request from a parent, and then they just go forth with it in their own messed up method. And they don't have two different forms, one form for interpreters and one form for CLTs, or they don't have a special contract with Language Matters Incorporated. They only have Graham Interpreting. They don't have contracts with all the vendors out there, or people able to queue for you out there. They need to have a contract between the person who can queue for you and the school. Duh. So the county tries to cover the school and is doing a job. Minimal job. When feasible. Yeah, feasible, because you didn't know about the theater club meeting until 4 days, and they say, oh, you need to request it in 5 days or more. How is a hearing person supposed to turn on their ears like 5 days in advance? What hearing people can go spontaneously do stuff, while deaf people can't, because the interpreters or the CLTs can't show up spontaneously. They have lives too, you know. So why not just have interpreters or CLTs in every school so that you don't have to contract out, and deaf people can do spontaneous things, not have to worry about whether they're going to understand what's being said or not. Because captions are a lot of reading, and not every deaf person can read a lot. Now, just because they're deaf, they're not dumb, but we do have to build our stamina to read. Anyway, speaking of reading, I'll go on. Go ahead and read. Go ahead. Speak a little bit louder when you read.
Which one?
The second sentence of number 4.
when no, there is often more availability for in-person CLTs in the evenings or on the weekends, so that I have had in-person services and extracurricular activities such as
extra
curricular such as school dances.
Yes. Okay, but not during the day when you need to learn school
When
work.
I need to learn new things.
Yes.
Yay.
All right, go on to 5.
The respondent denies the charging party's allegations because it is not required by federal, state, or local law to provide me with in-person CLTs.
What? They just said IDEA is the law that upholds this. I don't know. Go on.
Neither my former IEP nor my current Section 504 plan require me to have in-person cued speech providers.
That's baloney. That's a lie.
That's a turd.
That's a turd. You had in your IEP and your 504 plan the need for in-person CLTs. And you had...
Slow down. What?
You had in-person CLTs in your IEP and 504 plan that I fought for. And I fought for a communication plan for you, but they wanted to list oral language as your English language only. They didn't want to use cued speech and then build around cued speech for you in the IEP or the 504 plan. You not only needed virtual for COVID, and you needed in person after COVID, and even now. So how the IEP, I never signed my consent because they would not incorporate cued speech as the foundation for you to learn language, no matter what the language was. They said, oh, he can hear, he can speak English, he's fine, he doesn't need it. BS.
Bull turd.
More turd. Go on.
Prior to the charging parties revoking consent for special education services in June 2023, my last consented to individual education plan IEP in November 2021 did not require that cued language be delivered in person.
That's a lie. I did not consent because they were forcing ASL down my throat for you. In fact, do you remember your the lady with the red hair, and she took you in the sound booth with me? She said in a meeting that you are not getting all the language during the day, and we should just learn sign language, not use cued speech. Go on, read on.
This document specifically discussed.
Oh, look.
Specifically?
Yes.
Okay. This document specifically discussed my accommodation with the provision of providing an iPad to me to access the cued speech translators and how he accesses his virtual services.
Do you have any questions about that? Do you think it's real or fake?
I don't fully believe it. There was no requirement for PWCS to provide in-person cued speech per his IEP. IEP as like meetings or IEP?
The document.
Bolter. Respondent further denies that it engaged in discriminatory practices when it disagreed with the charging party request that August disagreed with the charging party's request that I be provided with a rolling desk in the hallway.
So a rolling desk. Do you remember I requested that?
Yes, very long time.
Well, that was at the beginning of the school year, actually.
Yeah.
So remember I a in-person CLT takes up just as much as the rolling desk does. So if you got used to the rolling desk and its space for you, plus have it available for you when you cannot use your arms, or follow you to gym class, PE class, to cue for you at your level. See, you have an iPad that hangs over your neck, right? How is that working for you? Do you see it visually all the time? No. But on a roaming desk, you could.
I could have.
Yeah. And it would get you used to seeing the in-person CLT. You wouldn't have to look down at your iPad. You could look up and be aware of your surroundings. But they discriminated against that too because they don't want what they call the elephant in the room. They don't want the big person or any person in the room with you. And I find that to be discriminating because they let people in the room for ASL and they teach it. So to be fair, to be successful in the future for all deaf students, they should learn to cue speech and teach it in school too.
Mm-hmm. But no, they did not. The respondent disagreed with the request as a required accommodation and maintained that I am able to leave my belongings and learning materials in the classroom.
That's true. You are at least able to do that. So we are grateful for that. But
that's just one.
That's easy to do.
The respondent also states that all of my classes are on the same floor with the exception of Ted Edie, and that the distance he is walking is reasonable and can be done at a regular and even slow walking pace with my accommodation.
Read it again out loud more.
The respondent also states that all of my classes are on the same floor with the exception of Ted Edie, and that the distance he is walking is reasonable and can be done at a regular and even slow walking pace with my accommodation.
What accommodation? You don't have an in-person CLT. With your virtual iPad? I guess. Your classes are on one floor. But you have the elevator, and you could use a roaming desktop, and there could be two, one on each floor. There could be two iPads so that they don't die. Like two desktops, one on each floor, and two iPads so that you don't have to go to the office to switch them out because they die. all the more reason to have an in-person CLT for you. Now, the CLT is not a techie and does not set up stuff for you. So if you need a techie help, they should hire them too. Oh, it was the hearing itinerant or the hearing tester that said we should learn ASL. That was discriminating. But they also didn't even want to, I had the idea to use, like, they have big screens. They use the big screens for robotics. Why couldn't they use the big screens for your CLT so you can see them? Oh, it's embarrassing? That's not their problem. That's not your problem. That's something you have to learn to deal with the rest of your life. It's nothing to be ashamed about. So we can get mad about not having enough, or we can do something about it. And so that's why I have done what I have, the little I've done in queuing to you and in going to your math sessions and voice queuing them to you, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And I think they are trying to sabotage you. They're trying to sabotage you.
So I can lose it.
Yes, they're trying to make sure you never use cued speech again and force you into ASL. That's discriminating.
You.
No, thank you.
No ASL.
You would need a CLT at this point to learn ASL. It's a whole other language, and you're failing Spanish. So you would fail ASL. Duh.
The respondent stated that I am also able to maneuver through the hallways early to avoid crowds and contact with other students. I am not required to carry around hefty loads, and I choose to bring a rolling backpack into the school and take my belongings from place to place. Additionally, I also have access to an elevator, so I am not carrying weight up and down the steps. I also have a lanyard for carrying my iPad, so I can be hands-free.
If it's that easy to get an elevator for you, it should be that easy to get a CLT for you. A team of CLTs.
That's just a turd.
Just a turd. so they can meet your bone issue with not having you to carry so much weight, but they can't fulfill your bone issue when it comes to hearing. It should be easy.
I agree.
So for our friends, if we have any, and our family, if we have any who agree with us, some in the family don't. So that's their choice, even though Jesus used a kind of sign language to heal the deaf. And I believe there is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind and its manifestation. For God is all in all. Spirit is immortal truth. Matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. I could go on, but I believe in healing, okay? Not all people believe in healing. That's their choice. But our choice should be fulfilled. We have to know that there are people out there who care and have compassion and want to learn to cue for you, because I will not be around the rest of your life. And I want everyone to be happy, healthy, and safe.
Achieve their goals.
And cared for.
And be able to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Not just crush their goals.
Yeah.
Goals.
Do you know I had some weird thoughts about designing airplanes this week? Like,
no.
Yeah. Like, oh, I wish I had okay. So you know how airplanes have wings?
Yeah.
And 3 tires? 2 in the back,
yeah.
and one in the front.
Yeah, so they can.
What if we had planes that had 2 sets of wings and 2 sets of tires, and could disconnect and fly together or separate?
Okay, but like there would be 2 different sets of pilots.
Yeah, And the engines could fly horizontal or vertical like a helicopter.
Like either this way or this way.
Yeah. Versatile. What if we used solar energy to fly our planes like we use solar energy to drive our cars? Seriously, there are solar cars, so why aren't there solar planes? You know, I think we need to be more inventive and creative rather than finding our faults. And if you want to learn all this and this world be open up to you, how can you know if you don't know? And you don't have the tools or the path to get there. Like, you knew math because it was your only visual language when you were little. But what if you could never read? Or what if deaf students are more smart about math than anyone else, and no one's talking to them because they segregate them away to other schools by themselves? How is that fair? How is that prosperous for us? Anyway, I think we need to educate ignorance, and I am open to whatever suggestions you have.
Teach what
because you
suggest.
deserve an equal opportunity, not just to be expected to do less. You are smart, you are kind, you are not dumb.
I should be
just
equal.
because you're deaf, and you deserve an in-person CLT team. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Life will be hard and difficult to understand. So you need to find someone who will take the time to explain stuff to you other than me, or more than just me. But hey, here's something we learned together. We can go to Comic-Con.
Yay!
Yay! I will probably have to queue for you there too, because I didn't request a CLT in time. And it would have only been virtual, so you wouldn't have been able to use it all that much.
Okay. Hi.
Thank you for going over your weeks and this letter with me. Do you have anything else to share? Or thank and be grateful for?
I am thankful and grateful for being able to understand the symptoms are for.
Do you hope to learn more?
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least more math.
So this has been a very special edition of Q's News.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching.